Thank you so much, Alice, and thank you to the League for having us. The League has always been a tremendous support and partner with our office. I see a lot of familiar faces who have come to a lot of our Community Voter Outreach Committee meetings and a lot of our other committee meetings. We do a lot of partnership with voter registration, National Voter Registration Day. So again, I really do appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about our voting solutions for all people. It's a little bit unfortunate it got cut off on top, but that is what the county has called its new voting experience. And when I say experience, it really is that. It is not just a technology, it's not just a new voting experience. It really is an entirely new voting experience that we will be rolling out in time for the March 2020 presidential primary. And again, I'm Aaron Nevarez, I'm with the Registrar Recorder's Office. The objective of coming out to events like this is really to empower all of you, to raise awareness for all of you, to help us spread the word. Los Angeles County is a huge jurisdiction. It is, just for context, if you didn't know, it is the largest local electoral jurisdiction anywhere in the country. It is larger than over 42 of 50 states have statewide. So again, over 5 million registered voters are in Los Angeles County. And not only is it large in terms of number, it's large in terms of geography. It's very diverse, probably arguably the most diverse jurisdiction anywhere in the country. So we work off of a partnership model where we partner with organizations like the League, various chapters, to help us spread the word, because we know that our organization alone, Los Angeles County alone, isn't equipped, as large as we are, to get into all the various communities to make sure that everyone is aware of the different things that are happening. And this, the New Voting Solutions for All People initiative, is significant. So we want to give you guys the information and the materials to help you empower your communities and raise awareness in your communities, and that's what we're here today to do. Of course.
Is this in all counties across California?
So, I'll get to that. So, our program, the Voting Solutions for All People, is a Los Angeles County specific program. The authority to do some of the things that I'll talk about in a moment, things like vote centers and early voting, is enabled by state legislation called the California Voters' Choice Act. That was a law that passed 2 years ago that allows counties, doesn't mandate them, but allows counties to move forward with this model. 5 counties did it in 2018 to sort of pilot that approach. Now in 2020, it's open for all counties to take that option. So locally, Los Angeles County is moving forward with the option. Orange County is moving forward with the option. As of 2020, once the March primary hits, although only 16 counties are moving forward with the initiative, the population of those counties is over 50% of the state's population. So starting in 2020, over 50% of the state's population will have moved to this new model. But good question. So when we talk about the new voter experience under the VSAP model, again, it's not just technology, it's not just a new system. Various elements make up the new voter experience, and I'm going to touch on these as we go through the presentation, but at a very high level, it involves electronic poll books, the use of a modern new tally system, an interactive sample ballot, which is a new feature that we find really great, and I think we'll touch on that in a minute. The ballot marking device is the device you see here, and that really is the kind of cornerstone of the new technology. A phenomenal piece of new technology that's taken 10 years to design, but I think what you'll see is that when we roll this out, we'll be the most secure, most accessible voting system that's ever been created. Voting period, extended voting period, and vote centers. While the technology is amazing and we really feel is hugely beneficial, probably the most impactful element of the new voting experience is the extended voting period and vote centers, which I'll touch on in a moment, and the new vote by mail experience, which was actually the first element of our VSAP initiative that we rolled out last November. So at this time, I'm going to show a quick video that I think really gives a nice summary of what we're talking about when we talk about this new experience, and then I'll go into some of the various elements in a little bit more detail.
The election is just around the corner, and Los Angeles County has a new way for voters to make their voices heard. New Los Angeles County vote centers are located throughout the county. Cast your ballot near your home, work, or favorite park. Voters can go anywhere. To find a vote center that's convenient, visit lavote.net and find one that works best for you. Instead of waiting for one day to vote, you are now able to vote across 11 days. Once you've arrived, a vote center assistant will greet you and check you in before taking you to the ballot marking device. Did you know that there is a new interactive sample ballot that lets you pre-mark your selections online and generate a poll pass? A unique QR code that will let you quickly transfer, review, and cast your selections on a paper ballot at the county vote center.
That's great.
The new ballot marking device includes an audio ballot, a touch screen, and a tactile keypad to make voting faster and more accessible. You can also select your language, change the font size, and adjust the contrast for easy viewing. Then, after you make your selections or scan your poll pass, you can review your ballot to verify your choices and cast your ballot by feeding the paper ballot back into the ballot marking device. There's no need to give your ballot to a vote center assistant. You cast it on the same device. Welcome to the future of voting in Los Angeles County. Fast, convenient, and easy. Go to vsae.lavote.net to exercise your right to vote and let your voice be heard.
So the vote by mail, I mentioned this was actually the first element that we rolled out in November of 2018. Many of our voters love vote by mail, and we encourage them to continue using vote by mail. Vote by mail is not going away. A little over a third of Los Angeles County voters vote by mail. So again, in terms of raw numbers, we send out more vote by mail than any jurisdiction in the nation, and we'll continue to encourage that, not going away under this new model. It's actually been redesigned as part of this, so we didn't want to just focus on the in-person experience. We wanted to take the time to reevaluate and modernize the vote by mail experience as well. So if any of you are vote by mail voters, you would have seen this new ballot in 2018. Much more usable. It's a full-face ballot. You no longer have to go back and forth between your small Scantron ballot and a booklet. For multilingual voters, it was often a challenging experience to navigate. Now, again, it's all in language. You circle the name right next to the candidate or measure of your choice. You no longer have to pay for postage, which is great for many voters. We're expanding drop-off locations. So that would be similar to a book drop out front. We'll have a vote by mail drop off throughout the county. You'll also be able to drop off your vote by mail ballot at any vote centers throughout the county. So again, it's a great option. I'm a vote by mail voter. I may in 2020 go into the vote center just because I want to try it, but again, it's a great option, and I know probably many of you enjoy that option, and we'll continue to offer that. Vote centers. So again, currently under the model we have now, you have one day and one location to go to. It's based on where you live, and again, it's on a random Tuesday between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. For many, that works great, and people often ask, well, why are you guys doing this? You know, I love my polling place, and we understand that, and we appreciate that. And in many ways, there will still be local vote centers in your community to go to. But what we have found is that when we sought to modernize this experience, we really wanted to be intentional about bringing in everyone else who wasn't the voters who go every time. We know the voters who go every time are going to continue to come, and we want to be mindful of that sort of change for them. But really, we wanted to create an experience that if you had a hard time getting off work, or you had to watch your kids, or you had something that you just couldn't get to the polling place, creating an experience where over 11 days can go to any vote center in the county. So if you live in Long Beach and work in Pasadena, you could go to a Pasadena vote center, pull up your Long Beach ballot, and vote in Pasadena. Or you live in Burbank and are visiting Long Beach, you can pull up your Burbank ballot at a Long Beach vote center. In addition to sort of the expanded number of days, the expanded number of locations, through the use of an electronic poll book, we're actually able to do things like conditional voter registration. where if a voter missed the voter registration deadline, where in the past would not be able to actually cast a valid ballot on election day, can now register. We will check, verify them through the statewide database, and allow them to actually vote same day. Additionally, if you wanted to update your voter registration, change your address, change your party, you'll now be able to do all of that at the vote center. So again, tremendous amount of convenience for our voters, tremendous amount of opportunities to engage really how and where and when you want. So again, a hugely beneficial move, but again, we need to make sure that voters are aware of this. On the left-hand side, just really quickly, you can see these are all ballot marking devices. So you kind of see how a vote center would be laid out. This is a large vote center, so again, not every vote center will be that big, but Los Angeles County is large, and we will have a lot of big vote centers where, again, we'll have a lot of devices, we'll have a lot of check-in clerks. One of the things that we know is that, people are going to be coming in and they're going to be unfamiliar. And so we really need to make sure that our staff that are working at the vote center are knowledgeable, understand the concerns of people coming in, that they will be unfamiliar with this, and really have a high level of staff to ensure that anyone who comes in has a great experience when they come out. I know you can't see this, there are some bar charts, but we did a lot of research, so I think it's important to note that Los Angeles County has been on this journey for about 10 years. And we've done a tremendous amount of surveys and user testing and focus groups, and we've really been intentional about focusing on the voter experience. When we started this effort, we put the regulatory environment aside, we put our needs as an agency aside, and in some ways we even put budget considerations aside and really focused on the voter experience. What does a voter want when they come in to vote? What does a voter sort of assume that they will see or want to see when they come in to vote? So part of our research as we looked at is, what are the reasons that voters don't come in or don't have the ability to vote on election day? And I'm just going to read some of these for you. Too busy on that day. Election was not that important to me. Forgot about the election. Unable to get off work in time. Out of town on election day. Did not register in time. Did not know where my polling place was. My polling place was not convenient for me. And traffic. And if you'll notice, except for maybe number 2, which is election was not that important to me, which is we can talk probably all day about the dynamics of why that would be the case for many voters. Every other single one of those, too busy on that day, forgot about the election, unable to get off work in time, out of town, did not register, didn't know where my polling place was, traffic, all of those elements, if you look at the new voting model, go away. Too busy on that day? Great, go the weekend before, or 2 weekends before. Forgot about the election? You're going to be hearing about it for 10 days before, and you have 10 days before the election to do it. Out of town on election day. Again, same thing, did not register in time. You don't have to. Traffic, again, all of the options or all of the elements of the new experience, when we ask voters why they didn't participate, go away. As an election administration office, we can't get people excited about candidates and issues. That's not what our office does. Candidates have to do that. People need to have that intrinsic value. I think working with groups like the League, I think that's the work I think we need to focus on. How do we get people engaged in the process? For our purposes as the county registrar, we need to focus on removing barriers and making it as convenient and accessible as possible, and we feel that's what this new model does. Some of the other questions is, as a voter under this new model, where would you feel most comfortable voting? And so I'll just read you off some of these. Public library, exactly where we're standing. A local elementary school, high school, middle school. A community center or rec center. A community college or university. A local city hall, a public park, a public plaza or square. That's where our vote centers are going to be. So in some ways, polling places are going away, yes, but we're still going to be in the same convenient locations. We're still going to be in the same familiar locations that voters are already familiar going, but we're also going to expand beyond that. You look at many jurisdictions who have moved to this model. I bring up Clark County, Nevada. That's where Las Vegas is. They've been on this model for a while. They've done early voting for a while in vote centers. The most popular places now for people to cast their ballots? Supermarkets. And again, you say, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense under the current context. But we feel that we give this model time. The whole intent of Los Angeles County move to this model is to have voters, basically, we want to meet voters where they are versus having voters come to us. And so we think over time, we're going to start getting more of those private entities involved. We'll still be in many of these places here, but we're also going to try to expand that to be in other locations, malls, movie theaters, things like that. You know, Costco. If we could have one in every Costco, I think that would be amazing. So again, we're going to continue to work on that. We're going to continue to focus on that. But again, we're still going to be in a lot of the places that you're already used to casting your ballot.
So, will there be more or fewer actual polling places?
Locations.
Locations.
So there will, in raw numbers, there will be fewer. But I think context is important there.
Right.
So while we have 4,500 polling places, you as a voter have one.
Right.
You have one day and one location. You now have 11 days and any location up to 1,000. So again, I think that's why context is important. When you just say, oh, well, you guys are reducing the number of polling places, it's out of context because you don't have 4,500 polling places to go to. You have one. Now you have 1,000. Now you have 11 days. And I think when you guys spread that message, that's the message that we want to send. This is not a this model is not a reduction in polling places. It is a vast expansion of opportunities for voters. Oh, let me go back. I didn't talk about that one, and I really want to. Interactive sample ballot. You saw that in the video. We're still going to send out paper sample ballots. So for those of you who are like, I don't want to use that, you don't have to. We're still going to send out the paper sample ballot. We'll still have all the information that you're used to getting. We'll still have all the contests and candidates. You want to still mark that paper sample ballot and bring that in with you? Absolutely. We encourage that. We welcome that. But what we heard throughout our time in developing the system was many voters, young voters, but not just young voters, are so familiar and so used to doing everything on our devices. Whether it's your banking, whether it's anything across the board, we're used to using our computers, our iPads, our devices. We're not ready to vote online yet. And I think that's important for everyone to know. There's elements of security, but there's also elements of a secret ballot that are vitally important to our democracy. And because of those elements and how those work in conjunction with voting online or voting on your phone, that's why we're not able to do that yet. But what this does is it sort of moves in the direction of being able to utilize the technology to mark your sample ballot. So just picture this. So in the past, you've marked your sample ballot, you've gone into the polling place, and you've essentially transferred what you've marked in your sample ballot onto your ballot. This is the exact same thing. You'll pull up an interactive sample ballot on your phone or on your home computer. You will mark your selections as you normally would on a sample ballot. You'll generate a poll pass, so if you want to print it out on your home computer and bring it like a paper you see right there, or you can generate it on your phone. It doesn't have any information about you as a voter. All it has is your selections, like you would have marked on your paper sample ballot. You'll go into a vote center, you'll scan it onto the device, it will pre-populate all of your selections, and it will allow you to have an expedited voting experience. So again, it's optional, it's not required, and again, it's not voting on your phone, it's simply marking your sample ballot. And the reason we think, one, it's a convenient, familiar model, but you gotta think, for the March and November elections, it's gonna be a long ballot, both of them. Not only are you gonna have the presidential contest, your other federal contests, other state contests, you have county contests, you have city contests, you have school district, community college district. You could be in that booth 15, 20, if you're not ready, 30 minutes in that booth. So again, if you're not a vote by mail voter, but you want to be an in-person voter, but you also don't want to have to be at the device for 15 to half an hour. You do it on the interactive sample ballot, you scan it onto the device for an expedited voting experience. Yes, ma'am?
So has this interactive sample ballot already been in use?
No.
No.
None of this has been in use other than the vote by mail.
So the first time will be March 2020?
The first time in an actual election, yes, but we have some events coming up where we're actually going to be able to try it before that. Yes.
Since this is an area that gets a lot of worry,
Uh-huh.
you just now mentioned like that a person's name isn't in that isn't anywhere in that QR code. What about on the phone, when I bring it up and I'm marking my sample ballot? Is that all within the app on my phone? It doesn't get communicated
Yes,
anywhere?
that's correct.
And it's just there?
Yes.
So it's as secure as your phone is?
Yes.
You don't have a pass?
That's a good way to put it. As secure as your phone is.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll get you in a second. So if you want to use a poll pass, you would use. Do you have a home computer? You can use your home computer and you would print it out. So you don't have to use a smartphone.
Do I need a poll pass to get into the voting center?
No, not at all. So again, if you don't want to do the poll pass, you don't have to do the poll pass. It's an option. It's something that if you just want to show up, get in line, and go through the ballot marking device, that's it. This is just an option. It is just an option. Yes.
Just for clarification, did you say that if you did it at home, the sample, you can scan your sample into the machine, or you still have to plug in your answers?
No, so if you were to do it at home, you would mark it either on your computer or on your phone. You would either print out a poll pass or generate it on your phone. You bring it into the vote center and you scan it, and it automatically populates everything. Yes.
Is there an opportunity before it's accepted to check your answers to make sure that poll pass was inputted correctly?
Yes.
So you
So
can
the-
check it before.
Yes, ma'am. So the very first thing that you'll do when you start the process, you'll put your ballot in. So you're going to check in like any other voter. So if you're a poll pass voter or you want someone who's used the interactive sample ballot, you still check in the electronic, at the e-poll book. You'll get your ballot, you'll take it in, and it gives you two options. One is I want to start voting, and the other one is I have a poll pass. If you hit I have a poll pass, we'll scan right away. The very first thing it does is it takes you to your selections. And so one of the things to keep in mind is you're not stuck with that, just like you're not stuck with what you marked in your sample ballot. If you marked your paper sample ballot, we'll say you chose Long Beach Council Member X, and you found out after you marked your sample ballot that you didn't want Council Member X, you wanted Council Member Y. You could change that before you vote. And just like that with the interactive sample ballot, because it's not your vote, you have the ability to change that on the spot, verify it, and then print your ballot, and then verify it again. So this device, the interactive sample ballot, the ballot marking device, is all about making a convenient and accessible experience, but it's all generated and really driven by you as a voter. And there's various verifications throughout the process to make sure it's what you want before you cast your ballot. Yes, ma'am.
You had said earlier on that if I wanted to change my address on my registration, can you can you register when you vote, or do you still have to be registered in advance of going?
So one of the new elements is the electronic poll book, the e-poll book, and you can register right there. You can change your address right there, your party.
I can initiate a registration?
Yes, in the vote center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and what we do is it's a real-time connectivity with the state's full registration database in a secure network. It will be verified that you're an eligible voter, and it will be updated in real time, and we'll be able to give you a ballot. And there's also security protections in that. So if you're a voter who votes in Long Beach, cast your ballot, and go to Pasadena and try to cast another ballot, which we know is not right, you will be caught. And so the vote center worker would say, hey, you already cast a ballot. Are you sure you want to try that again? So yeah, there's protections in place to ensure that level of thing doesn't happen as well. Yeah.
So a couple of different questions. Absentee voters, frequently arrive without their ballot and say, you know, that's a live ballot, and you're like, yeah. And so if you come in and I let you vote again, then you're gonna vote twice, so how is that gonna be handled?
Yeah, so one of the two biggest reasons that voters vote provisionally, and many of you are familiar with provisional, they're the ones that you put in the pink envelopes. And while us as election administrators, we always try to convey this, provisional voting, listen to the full context before you react, is a good thing. It's a good thing because it's a fail-safe. There's a lot of states that don't allow for provisional voting, and many voters come in, can't cast a provisional ballot. So on one hand, it's a good thing. On the other hand, we know, and voters know, it's not the best experience. You gotta get out of line, you gotta fill out additional information, you don't know if your ballot's gonna be processed, although historically in LA County, 85 to 95% of provisional ballots are. Voters don't know that, and it's not a good experience. So to get back to your specific question, the two biggest reasons why voters cast provisional ballots now, one, you go to the wrong polling place. There is no wrong polling place anymore. You can go to anyone. And the second is the exact one you brought up, is I'm a vote by mail voter. I either don't know I'm a vote by mail voter, know I am, didn't bring it, or know I am and did bring it. If you did bring it, right now you spoil it and you get a regular ballot. But if you don't bring it, that other category, which is a huge number, you have to vote provisional.
Right.
And the reason you have to vote provisional is we have to make sure that you didn't cast that other ballot. And so that's why we do it. Under the new model, we will be able to remotely spoil that ballot. Assuming we haven't found it yet in the system, it's remotely spoiled, and you get an actual ballot and no longer have to vote provisionally.
Very sexy.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I have one more question.
Yes, one more and then I'll get you up front, Jan.
Okay, so a big issue with the last couple of elections has been purge voters. So then are those people going to present themselves, they're not in there, they're going to be qualified?
Yeah, and so the thing about purge voters is there's a lot of terms that are thrown out. Purging of the voter file is something that many groups want us to do. They want us to purge the file of people who haven't voted in a while, inactive voters. We don't use the term purge, and we don't ever purge. What Los Angeles County does is we do voter list maintenance. So when voters pass away, when we verify duplicates, we're removing voters, we're constantly doing updates and maintenance on the voter file. Under this new model, if for some reason you were inactive, and you will become inactive for things like we send you material and it comes back to us undeliverable, meaning you probably moved or something else happened, you're marked as inactive. If you come into a vote center and are an inactive voter, you're automatically activated again, you can do it real time. For some reason, if your registration was canceled, so you're no longer inactive or active, the thing about it now is, again, you can register on the spot. So most of those issues that people have had in the past about showing up, not on the roster, showing up, inactive, showing up, canceled, all of that can be dealt with in real time at a vote center.
Right.
So again, a lot of those issues are taken care of under this new model.
I understand. I've worked in a polling location for probably the last, 10, 20 hours, I don't even know anymore. But we have people that are senior citizens that I've been at the same location for years on end. I know that person. I know they voted because I've met them before, and then they're not on the roster. So that's my frustration and concern, as well as their frustration. And this is a senior citizen that is like, I don't understand what happened. I was here last year, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I was here with you.
Yeah, and a lot of those things, we take full responsibility for every election we run, and elections are messy. I think you more than anyone kind of get some of the intricacies of how things work. They don't always go perfectly, and again, as our office is responsible for that, and we need to ensure that we do the best job possible. The benefit of this new system is that it allows for, in real time, a lot more flexibility to correct those things. We now have 11 days to correct those things, and so again, when you look at the model in its totality, I think you'll see that there's a lot more benefits under this new model for the voter. Yes?
So you can tell me that you haven't gotten there
Okay.
yet, but I'm interested in the idea that there is a paper copy
Yes.
of my votes.
Haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
So there's a lot more slides, and yes.
So here in Long Beach,
but I will address that.
How many voting centers are you anticipating Long Beach having?
A lot. So I say a lot. Long Beach is the second. Long Beach is the second biggest city in the county. We will have, starting at E-10, so basically 10 days before the election, 250 vote centers countywide. At E-3, that is the Saturday before election. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That ramps up to somewhere close to 1,000 vote centers countywide. I would estimate there will be a significant number of those vote centers in Long Beach. I can't give you the number off the top of my head, but it will be, in terms of city, will be the second largest number of vote centers anywhere in the county. But again, I want to point out, Long Beach voters don't just have to go to Long Beach vote centers. And so again, I think context is important. There will be a lot. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it will be
So are you guys focusing on the libraries, the schools, the college campuses?
Yes, 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 and yes. All of the above. Yes.
Can you cover sometime like the checks, because when people say that somebody can come in and register the same day, then people go, well, how do we know they're really a valid voter?
Yeah, so I guess it comes down to really a valid voter. I think it's important to note that the same processes that are in place now in terms of, we use the terms like voter fraud and things like that are thrown around a lot. It's important to note that voter fraud, while the term is thrown around a lot, there are actually very few cases of legitimate voter fraud or illegitimate voter fraud that are actually found and prosecuted. I think under the new model, it's actually slightly more secure in that we have real-time connectivity to the statewide database. We're not checking ID. I think a lot of people who think that there's voter fraud, the solution for that is voter ID. Our office has no control over that. That is a statewide position, and we cannot check voter ID. So a lot of the same processes that are in place now will be in place under the future model, and there will actually be slightly more protections because we have use of the electronic poll book, real-time connectivity to the statewide database. And if we ever get any sort of inkling of any sort of impropriety in how things are moving, we always work with law enforcement to follow up and investigate those issues. Yes?
Are there any changes for those who live abroad?
So yes, there are actually better options for those that live abroad. So voters that live abroad, the term is UOCAVA. It's for Uniformed and Overseas Citizens. It's a voting act that was passed by Congress probably a couple decades ago that ensures that military and citizens living abroad still have access to the ballot. So we will still be sending those ballots to our overseas citizens. Again, they'll get that new modernized vote by mail ballot, but they'll actually be able to use the interactive sample ballot in a way that allows them to mark their sample ballot, or actually for them it will be their actual ballot. You would print it out, put it in your vote by mail envelope, send it back to us, and again, be able to use the new technology that we're offering for our military and overseas citizens. So yes, it will be part of that as well. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about the marketing or the information that you're going to share? How will people really know all of this?
Yeah.
Because they may just go to their
So I have
school.
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. I want to make sure I get all your guys' questions, but it's a good question, and we absolutely will get to it. Yes.
If I'm not using my phone, but I'm using my laptop or my desktop.
Yes.
Can I still have something to take?
Yeah. You would get this thing right here. You would have a printer. You would print it out. You would come into your vote center. You would check in. You would go up to the machine. You would scan that, and everything you marked on your laptop would be right there on the screen for you. Yes.
I really appreciate everybody's level of interest in this, but we are at 11 o'clock, and I want Aaron to be able to finish his whole presentation, so I'm wondering if you just...
Yes, and again, I think a lot of the things that you're looking for, I will address, and I'd be happy to chat with any of you after. So, yes, I will continue to keep... Ballot marking device. I've talked about this a lot, but really, this device is amazing for those of you who have had the opportunity to experience it. is phenomenal. I think, one of the questions that we asked was, you talked about the paper ballot. All this device is just what that name says. It's a ballot marking device. This isn't a voting machine. There's no scanning of the ballot. There's no online voting. It's not even connected to the internet. All it's connected to is a power cord. Again, you're using a accessible, essentially a tablet to navigate through your ballot, mark your selections. At the end of the process, it gives you a verification screen. Basically, check all of the selections you've made. Make sure they're the ones you want. Eliminates things like overvotes. Things that are familiar with overvotes. If a voter votes for more than the appropriate number of candidates, so for most contests you can only vote for one. If you vote for two, it's going to register as an overvote. Typically, a poll worker would tell you, "Hey, you overvoted." Most voters are like, "Oh, I don't want to do it again. I'm just keep it going." That vote's not going to count for them. This machine won't even allow you to do that. Full accessibility features. So if you're a voter with vision disability, you're blind, you can go through the experience with headphones, a tactile keypad. For a voter who doesn't speak English as a first language, and in Los Angeles County, in addition to English, we offer 12 other languages. And often, that experience for those voters is very challenging under the current model. Now you have a full experience in language. You can toggle back and forth between languages. So say you don't have any issues with the candidates in English, but some of the measures where it's a lot of measure text that even in English, for me, it's like, what does that even mean? It's difficult for a lot of those voters in English. Toggle to Spanish, toggle to Chinese, whatever that language is. Again, I've seen a 102-year-old woman cast a ballot on this with no challenges. I've seen a woman with extreme mobility challenges vote on this device with the dowel connected to her foot from beginning to end on this device. This device, when we say voting solutions for all people, it really is that. One device for every single Los Angeles County voter that will allow them to have an independent, private, and secure voting experience. And at the end of it, still produces a human-readable paper ballot, and that's the ballot of record. That is what if there's a recount, we will recount. If there's an audit, that's what we will audit. You will insert it back into the ballot marking device. Again, it's not scanning anything other than verifying that the ballot went in. All the ballots are then taken centrally back to our headquarters, where we will tally everything in a secure network back at our headquarters. So again, a phenomenal device. We're going to talk about some opportunities to experience it before March. But if you, again, ever have a chance, one of the things we do, and we'll talk about after, is work with groups like the League, work with other community groups, work with cities to do events like this, to do demos where we will bring devices out. I have teams of outreach staff that will come out, they'll set up a device, and if it makes sense and we'll have a lot of activity, we'll bring out a device and let individuals interact with it to, again, raise awareness and experience and familiarity. But we do know that change is hard, and when you come up to this, it could be intimidating for some because it's this new device. But I think what we've seen is that once you get over that, okay, I'm going to do it, it really is a very convenient and usable experience for everyone across the board. And we've seen that, and we know that through a lot of user testing that we've done. So again, I'll go through this very quickly. You'll arrive at a vote center. You'll check in on the electronic poll book. You'll receive your ballot. You'll go to the ballot marking device and insert your ballot. At that point, you'll be given two options. You'll be able to start from scratch, essentially, start your voting, or scan your poll pass. At the end of both of those, you're going to print a ballot will be printed. You'll have another chance to verify it. And just so you know, even if it was printed and you say you missed something in the verification screen and you didn't catch it, but you want to change it, all you got to do is go back to the election worker, say, hey, I missed this in the verification screen. Can I start over? Spoil that ballot and give you another shot. It's not cast until you cast it as a voter, and it goes right back into the same machine. And then you still get your I voted sticker like you always have. So what are we doing? You know, a lot of you know, like this is a huge transformational change. And while we know that the benefits of this model are clear, it really is a secure, there's more convenience, it's more accessible. How are voters going to know? How, you know, again, I mentioned that 5 million number. How are we going to ensure that they're aware of this? The Los Angeles County is going to invest a lot of resources into making sure that that's a reality. And the first thing is that mock elections. I'm going to go over here and grab this poster over here. So on September 28th and 29th, Los Angeles County is hosting a mock election. Following up on that, we're going to open demo centers, and I'm going to go through each of these in a minute. And then we're leading up to full implementation in March. So there's going to be a lot of activity and actually things in between those that aren't even on this screen, where again, it's all about raising awareness, all about building education and making voters aware that this is coming.
So what I'll do as the webmaster for our particular league is I'll actually have a full page dedicated to all of these events, if that's okay with you. And we'll get together and I'll have links and just put that so everybody can see where they can get involved.
And all this information we can share with you guys. All the materials, although we have some hard copies in the back, are all on our website. So if you want to make more, you can print them off directly from our website. You can give me a call and say, hey, if we can come pick some up, can you help us maybe make some of these posters or make some of these postcards? We definitely want to work with you to do that. So the Adopt a Vote Center initiative is actually a really cool initiative in that we're really focusing on partnering. You know, the first group we're focusing on is colleges and universities. We really want vote centers to be on colleges and universities. We really want high school students, college students to be engaged in the process as our upcoming and future voters and as our new voters. So we're working with colleges and universities to partner with them to help what we call an Adopt a Vote Center, where they say we're going to have a vote center on campus. That's one part of the process. So again, offer a location, but also provide staff. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we had on a college students working in the vote center, or again, at a high school students working at the vote center. Those are the types of things we want to do, and if you want to offer us both, even better. So again, Adopt a Vote Center at rcc.lacounty.gov. That's the email if you want to get involved in that. Again, there's a phone number there. Again, it's really an initiative where we're really focusing on partnerships to not only get locations, because you know the ask is no longer one day. The ask is for 4 or 11 days now, and so we really need to build partnerships to get locations and agencies and schools as partners with us to ensure that we have adequate vote centers.
What is your range of locations? Like what is offered? Is it a retail store?
No, I think
what are you looking for?
Yeah, I think it really is. It needs to be accessible, meaning it needs to be available exactly. So. And that often, many people don't know, you know, to be fully accessible, very few locations in the county are fully accessible, just because the challenges that voters with disabilities have are wide-ranging. And I mean, things as much as a slope of a ramp, or you know, doors that, there's a lot of things we have to do. So there's an accessibility survey we have to do. And we also have to check power and network connectivity. In the past, we really haven't had to do that because the power was minimal. We needed something to plug in the lights, if you're familiar with the lights on our things. There was no network connectivity before. So now the sites need to have network and power connectivity. We have teams that are going out and surveying sites now, and it's all part of that. So you need to be accessible. The size matters as well. So we're not going to be in garages anymore. They really need to be, I mean, this would be a good room. It would probably be a small vote center, but you got to think a room like this. You're going to need to have at least 10 of the ballot marking devices. That's a small vote center for us. And we can get you all that information. If you have a site that you think, hey, I'd really love to be a vote center, let us know through this initiative, and we'll definitely get you that information.
And what are the hours of service?
So over the first 10 days, it's an 8-hour vote center opening. We're still determining what those 8 hours are. We imagine it will be somewhere in the 8 to 4, 9 to 5 range. And people say, well, I work early, or I work. Again, the benefit is you have 2 weekends. So again, if people could just get out of focusing on maybe the one-offs of, I can't do it on this day, but you can do it on another day maybe, or you could do it on a weekend. But so for the first 10 days, it will be 8 hours. And then election day will still be the 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Sundays?
Yes, 2 weekends. So Saturday and Sunday, in a full week, Saturday and Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 11 days.
Basically, no excuse not to vote. Just basically.
Mock election. So we talked a lot about this. I have a few of these posters, but again, we want to get this material out. We have a flyer in the back. This is going to be really the county's first large-scale public awareness campaign for this initiative. It's going to be on September 28th and 29th. I'm sorry?
Mock elections when?
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed it. Go back.
just wanna make sure it's on.
There it is. September 28th and 29th. It's right on the heels of National Voter Registration Day, which I know you're all familiar with. It's that Tuesday before. We have a mock election webpage at lavote.net/mock election. We'll work with your team to get this up, all this information on your website. There's going to be 50 locations countywide. There's actually 2 in the city of Long Beach. But again, you don't have to go to those. If you work in another community or have networks in another community, on the back of this flyer that's in the back, it has all 50 locations. It's going to be a fun event. You know, it's going to be a non-political event. Even down to the ballot that we've created is non-political. So you're going to be voting on favorite LA park, favorite LA beach, worst freeway to get stuck in traffic on. Really want it to be a fun event. There's going to be a lot of activation at these sites. So food trucks and DJs. Not at all of them, but at a lot of them, the intent is to get as many people to these sites as possible. And I will add one other thing that's great about the mock election. Because it's not an actual election, you don't have to be an eligible voter. So if you're a high school student that wants to engage in this as one of our upcoming voters, you can. If a mom wants to bring her 2 kids and they want to give it a try, great. You don't have to be an eligible voter. We want to get as many people to these sites as possible to get familiar with this model. You will basically experience what you'll experience in March. You'll check in, you'll get your ballot, you'll cast your ballot, again, to raise awareness, to raise familiarity. We have a lot of information, a lot of ads are going on right now on the radio. We have media partnerships that, again, are multilingual. We have a digital media campaign. We're doing a lot of outreach and engagement on this, and again, partnering with groups like the League to get this information out there, to share with your network, to take those postcards and get people to save the date. Again, it's important that we build awareness of this, that we continue to build understanding of this process, so that in March, voters, again, are like, oh yeah, I've done this before. And so if you don't have the chance to go to the mock, we're going to do open demo centers. So right on the heels of the mock election, for the next 4 months, we're going to have demonstration centers open throughout Los Angeles County. I'm almost positive that there will be one in Long Beach, where we will have a small site where we'll have staff that will come out and basically bring groups in, bring cities in, bring individual community organizations or individuals to come in to experience the new technology, to get a familiar feel for what this new experience is, again, to continue to raise awareness, to continue to build education for this new model. And again, just to alert the public that this is coming. We're beyond the point now of, when we started to do this, it was like, why are we doing this? We shouldn't do this. And I think over time, people have become more familiar. When you start to hear about the benefits of this model, I think the benefits are undeniable, personally. But again, we can't just assume that voters will know. So we have to continue to raise awareness, continue to kind of build that education level, and demo centers is one of the ways we'll do that as well.
Aaron,
Yes.
if there's a demo center in Long Beach, will it rotate around the city?
So it probably won't rotate around the city, but our demo centers won't be at one place for 4 months. They will be rotating around the county. So they'll be constantly moving. And I will add that demo centers is just one of the ways that we'll be doing outreach. So let's just say the League of Women Voters Long Beach has an event or a town hall that they want to host. Let us know. I'm going to give you guys my cards, whoever wants the cards. We can coordinate a town hall. We've done, Alice mentioned I did a presentation before. The presentations like this are happening all over the county right now. again, to raise awareness. We don't always bring out ballot marking devices, but we can. I think it's just letting us know if there's a right fit for us to bring out a device. We'll get a team out there, we'll bring a device, we'll bring materials. Partnership, we mentioned that word partnership. This is only going to be successful if we have good partnerships like this. This is a good partnership. Let's build on this. Let us know about other events that we can go to, other locations, other town halls. We want to be visible. We want to make sure that all of you have the material and information you have. You don't have to wait for us. If you want to take this and go to an event and start spreading the word, spread the word. That's where we're at this point. Spread the word.
Is there an online tutorial?
So if you go to the mock election website now, there are elements where they're very specific. What's the ballot marking device? What's the interactive sample ballot? We're going to start producing videos. We're going to start producing a lot more material. Again, we know this is a big change, and we're going to try to create various levels of collateral, whether it's one-pagers, fact sheets, videos, to ensure that it's as digestible as possible for everyone. So yeah, a lot of that already exists, and we'll be creating more.
Can we remember to let him finish? I want to make sure we get to see all his slides, and then all the questions would be welcome.
Thank you, Jen. I'm almost done, so I appreciate you guys. A lot of good questions. They're all very good. This is all leading up to full implementation. And again, we're leading up to the March presidential primary. It's on March 3rd, but remember, vote centers open early. So vote centers open on February 22nd, which is right around the corner. So again, if you want to host a town hall, you want to print and distribute flyers, you want to post stuff on your social media, all that's available to you. That's why we do this. That's why we're giving you this information. You want to host a Reg Drive. I know the league is phenomenal at doing that. We encourage you to do that. We want to work with local leaders, community leaders, elected officials, and really raise that awareness of voting early. We can't wait to vote on election day. We really have to stress the importance, and not only the importance for us as the administrators who are running it, but the convenience for voters. Don't wait till election day. Don't get caught in a line on election day. Because I'll just be real candid, if everyone votes on election day, we had 4,500 places before, we have 1,000 now, we have to spread that out. So build awareness of the benefits of voting over that first 10 days. 2 weekends. I mean, how great is it to vote on the weekend? If we had a vote center here, you guys could have already cast your ballot and been on your way. So 2 weekends, and then that full week in between. So really building that awareness, encourage local leaders and groups like this to get your family, your friends, your networks to vote early. So promote early voting. We're obviously going to do Get Out to Vote. That's GOTV, and a lot of information on social media. Stay engaged. This is our website, vsap.lavote.net. If you want to email us, vsap@rcc.lacounty.gov. That's our social media at LA County RCC. All the materials that we have are available in the back. We have flyers, we have posters, we have booklets about VSAP. I'll be available to hang out and ask questions.
You need more to put together while you're talking. That's not enough. You have more.
That's it at the moment, but we can get you more. Okay? I'm going to give you guys my card, whoever wants it. Again, I might not be able to come out to give a presentation. I was really glad to do this one because I live in Long Beach, and Long Beach is near and dear to my heart. So when my team said we need some help on the weekend, I said absolutely, I'd love to come present to the League of Women Voters. So again, I thank you so much for your time. I know you guys have a lot to cover. I really appreciated your presentation today. It's so really encouraging to, the Los Angeles County is focusing on the centennial of the women's right to vote. Someone who has 2 daughters, I know the importance of that, and so I'm just encouraged by how full this room is, encouraged by all of you being engaged, and again, I would be happy to answer any questions that you all have. Thank you. Yes.
Some of the places like colleges, parking is a problem. Are you going to have parking spaces set aside for people who vote?
One of the elements that we're working at is doing these surveys where we really focus on locations that do have parking. Los Angeles County, depending on where you live, parking is a real challenge. We're trying to focus a lot of these vote centers at being in areas where public transportation is also connected. So I would say yes, it's definitely something we're working at. Depending on the location, parking may be a challenge, and I think so we're working through those issues. I think one of the things to keep in mind is if one vote center doesn't work for you, there's probably another vote center right down the way. So it's an issue that we're aware of and we're trying to focus on, but it's balancing priorities. I mean, one of our priorities is having a vote center on campuses. Sometimes campuses don't have the right amount of parking, so maybe that vote center might not work for you. But again, that's just one vote center of a larger pool, but it's something that we're aware of. Yeah.
So as we know, the press likes to get a hold of results early. Being that we have that 11 days, I'm going to ask if there is not going to be any information shared until election day, until the appropriate time and everything's closed.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, there's arguments, but by law, we can't actually tabulate results until polls close. But we're going to be bringing those ballots back on a daily basis, getting them processed, getting them ready. I say processed. Process is different than tabulated. So getting them processed, getting them ready to be tabulated, so that at 8 p.m. we can hit the tally, and then they start going through and actually doing the tabulation. So we won't have any results posted until, and part of that is good because we want to make sure that people come out. If people start seeing, oh, the candidate that I had is already losing, like why am I going to go vote? And that's one of the reasons why that 8 p.m. But yes, ma'am.
How are volunteers going to be used to assist in those centers?
So while the model is changing, there will absolutely still be a place for volunteer, no longer poll workers, election workers into this new model. So a lot of our work right now that our polls team is doing is starting to figure out how to do that engagement with our poll workers. If you're very interested and say, oh, I definitely want to be a part of this, let me know. I can put you in touch with our polls team. We're definitely going to have a lot of volunteer community workers still. There will be a huge chunk of the workforce will be county staff. We're still going to use high school and college students, so again, that's going to be a big part of it. So yes, still an opportunity. The training will be much more extensive. Obviously, it's a brand new model. We've actually started training for the mock election, and it's going very well. I think it's a lot more technology-driven training because it's a technology-driven model. But again, I think if you're up for it, I think there's a really good case to be made that volunteer poll workers can still do this. The training, again, will be more extensive because we really need our election workers to be as familiar with the system, as comfortable with the system as possible. Yes.
So for special elections or any other election that may happen in the county, this will be the new model?
Yes.
So any small city that...
Yes, so starting 2020, this will be the way that elections are run in Los Angeles County. Now, having said that, recent legislation several years back moved local jurisdictions, their sort of off-cycle elections, to consolidate with the county. So you should really, unless it's a truly special, you should really start seeing March, November, even year. March, November, even year. March, November, even year. Now, if there's a vacancy or some other special election, we'll still need to be able to run those elections, but even those will be run under this new model. But the old model, that is gone. So we have a small election in November, I didn't touch on it, where we're gonna actually be piloting the new equipment, but that will really be the last sort of true polling place election that Los Angeles County runs. Yes?
So, my question about the paper ballot.
Yes.
I didn't see where a paper ballot would like fall into a box on that machine. Does a paper ballot fall into a box?
Yes, so all on that machine, I'll go back to you, see if I can show you the device. So right here,
There you go.
we call it integrated ballot box. So it goes right immediately into the box. Now, again, this isn't scanning anything, it's not counting anything. At the end of the night, our election workers, there'll be seals on all of this stuff where they'll check the seal to make sure it hasn't been broken. The election workers will empty the box, they'll go to a check-in center, and all of those ballots will be taken back either by internal county staff or sheriff's deputies back to the tally operations center.
That looks kind of small.
So those fit 250 ballots, During the day, if they're starting to reach capacity, the machine will basically shut down, it will notify election staff. Staff will, again, check, break the seal, verify it, put a new seal on, all chain of custody, all processes and procedures that we're prepared to handle on. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel
Yes,
much
ma'am.
better.
But we are physically, the voters are physically putting their ballot in that box.
Exactly.
Because we then get to visually check it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
You wanna explain to them where they can drop off their ballots?
Yes.
I know, remember I asked you about
Yes.
the box, you know, can we just pick the box up and leave? it?
Yes,
Okay.
so for voters who are vote by mail voters, I didn't really tell. It's called vote by mail, but we find every election more and more voters like getting their ballot in the mail, but don't want to put it back in the mail. And that's fine. So one of the elements is we'll have vote by mail drop-off boxes throughout the county. Again, kind of think book drop or postal box where it's specific for ballots. It's a secure ballot box where you'll be able to go really 29 days before the election and drop off your ballot. And then every vote center will have a specific drop-off box. So if you want to go to a vote center, you don't have to wait in line. We'll have staff that are basically asking those who are in line, do you just have a vote by mail? Anyone just have a vote? And you get right out of the line, drop it off, and you're on your way. Any other questions while you have me?
Yeah, great job.
Yes. Almost. We have one more.
The vote by mail drop-off boxes?
Yes.
Are gonna be where and what do they look like? And-
All over the county. We will
Tampa
probably
proof,
have
proof.
somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 250, and they'll be at familiar places. They'll be at places like city halls, libraries. We will advertise them. They will look different than a mailbox and a book drop. It will have, you know, they might have a lot of this coloring. So yeah, we'll promote them as part of this model as well.
But it'll be mailboxy, where it'll be.
Mailbox-y,
something they can't-
that's a good
like
way of
you said,
describing
cemented.
It's cemented,
Yeah.
that's what my question was.
Yeah.
We were right
Yes.
by a book.
Yes.
book drop,
Somebody
so it's gonna be
watching
cemented.
So
Yeah.
we'll have two, just to get kind of put a bow on the drop-off boxes, we'll have two options of them. One will be the external, and as Alice said, they'll be secure. I think bolted in, like a book drop. If you saw someone unscrewing a book drop, I mean, they'll be very heavy-duty boxes that are locked. You can't get in. Again, the only people who will have access to them are county staff that will be credentialed. We will still have internal boxes, as we've had in the past, but we'll work with places like libraries and city clerks, partnerships that we've done in the past. It's a model we use now where we partner with them. They're keeping an eye on the box. They lock it up at the end of the night, and we have, again, chain of custody procedures to transfer that. Yes.
Will there be any intentional equity around where these, the balloting places are
Vote centers?
located? Yeah, the vote
Yes.
centers, because if, we just wanna make sure that every person has like, I don't know, a mile or whatever the distance is to an option, as an option.
Yeah, so the entire vote center placement project, we had a full project focused on that really focused on, they mentioned that I appreciate the word equity. The California Voters' Choice Act has various criteria that counties need to focus on to ensure that vote centers are in familiar, convenient, accessible, equitable locations. So things like, where do people live? Where do people work? Where do you have things like low vehicle ownership or low income areas or access to public transportation? All of that was fed into basically a program that we worked on with a partner that did things like geospatial analysis. And in addition to all the kind of data stuff, the big data, we also did public community meetings where we had meetings across the county where voters came in. We had a portal on our website where they could actually give suggestions of where vote centers should be. So all of the locations that we're currently looking at were directly given to us by voters as areas that they felt would be convenient and accessible. And so part of that is distance, part of that is time. You know, in Los Angeles County, traffic is an issue, so something that's a couple miles away could take you a long time depending on where you live. So all of that was kind of taken into account as we did our process to ensure that locations are as convenient, as close to people as possible. Anything else? Okay, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Aaron. I told you, a lot of information, so we got a lot of work to do. So once again, thank you, Aaron.